Sup, my name is Andrew, and you are now part of the Collective Intelligence, and today we are taking a look at Ableton Live 11. Yep, that's right, Ableton Live 11. Let's jump over and take a look. At any point of time, if you want to skip ahead, there's chapters showing all the topics below in the timeline. Let's go ahead and look at the first feature. Comping has arrived in Ableton Live 11. So I'm going to jump over into the arrangement view by pressing Tab. And in this first example, I'm going to use an audio channel and we'll show how comping works with audio. I'm just going to select, say, a 1 bar period of time, and I'll loop that. And I'm going to go ahead and set this up so I can use the comping feature. So I right click and I'm going to say show take lanes. Okay, so Control Alt and U is the hotkey for this. And show take lanes initially doesn't do anything. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and press record, and you can see it in practice what happens. So press record. Hey, this is Andrew from Collective Intelligence. Hey, this is Andrew from Collective Intelligence. Hey, this is Andrew from Collective Intelligence. Hey, this is Andrew from Collective Intelligence, so on and so forth. So we can see that we have what are called lanes appearing on our screen. Every time we get to the end of this loop, a new lane appears and the audio stacks down on it. I can listen to that particular lane, Collective Intelligence, or that particular take. And what this is going to allow me to do is essentially record the same thing over and over again and try different ways of singing or performing that particular element. And then I can select from all of these takes which one is the best, or what I can do is I can use the draw tool. I can select certain parts of each take. So I could do that, and let me just deselect that. So you can see as I highlight particular areas, that is now what appears up on the actual channel, okay, or the audio track, sorry. So I can select different parts, and this is essentially the master clip above, made up of all of these pieces. So now that I've got that, turn that off, I'll select all of these, I'll go ahead and consolidate them, and we'll listen. Hey, this is from Click. Cool, and it's all gobbledygook because I wasn't singing exactly the same thing over and over again, and I wasn't even singing. So what we're going to do is then we could either go show take lanes and hide them, so we could just make them disappear, or I can delete them, so I could just get rid of them all. And now I've got essentially that master take that I really like the sound of. So let's take a look at how that's handled with MIDI. So we'll do the same thing. We'll show the take lanes. And if I go ahead and have the track armed, I'm going to press record. I'm just going to mash the notes on my keyboard. I'm not going to play anything in, just for the example, right? So and you can see the exact same kind of idea is taking place here, where we are ending up with multiple different takes. Every time it ends the loop, it starts a new lane. And then I can come to my draw tool and I can select, okay, that MIDI note was good. This one looks like it's in time. That one's more in time than any of the other ones, right? So then we can end up just making a clip based upon, in this case, everything that actually falls in time in a somewhat intelligible way, right? We've got that. I can select it. I'll consolidate it. Now, I lost some MIDI notes there because I clearly didn't select them right from the beginning, right? I'm not too worried about that. We'll just go consolidate, and we'll go ahead and delete them. But again, if I've got takes, I can use the little speaker button to audition that particular lane and listen to that take. So that's comping inside of Ableton. What I'm going to show you is a bit of a creative comping technique that can be used. So let's take a look at that. I've got all of these drum breaks that I downloaded from Splice here, right? If I come into here and show take lanes, I am going to make some take lanes. So here I can go Shift Alt, and T. So Shift, Alt, and T. And here I am drawing in take lanes, adding in take lanes on that audio track. So if I come back to splice, I can drag that drum beat onto the take lane rather than onto the audio track. So here I am dragging all of these different drum patterns in. They all sound different. They are sort of consistent somewhat in sound as well, though, so they don't sound completely different. I can now use my pencil tool to select certain parts of each drum beat that I would like to play. Okay, so now I've got that. And if I'm just going to press play at the beginning of this, I'm going to be listening to that master track above. All right, so if I audition, right, you can hear that that's one of the drum patterns. It's another one of the drum patterns, so on and so forth. But if I deactivate that, I'm hearing the master clip, and that is my mashed up drum loop, and I can come back and hear at any point in time, and I quite like that a lot. So now what I could do is I could just pause that. I'll deselect my tool. I'll go ahead and consolidate that one. I'm going to call this loop 1. I'll pull it over here, and then I could go back to work and I could do some more little variations. And now I've got another pattern, and I'm constantly using different little parts, but I'm making my own master loops. And that is a really cool way that you can go about using the comping tool in a creative manner. Now that I've got these two loops, I'm going to show you another cool feature. Let's go ahead and show the take lanes. Just drop that away. And I can grab this audio clip, loop number 2, drag it and drop it below the loop 1. Now I've got another audio track. Nothing new there. I can select both of those audio tracks, can right click, and I can link them. So now they're linked together. What does that mean? I can go ahead and make edits to multiple clips at one time. I can pull them across, I can do volume fades, I can even stretch and warp multiple clips at one time. So you can link as many tracks as you'd like together, and away you go. It's another cool feature. MPE, or MIDI polyphonic expression, is now available with Ableton Live 11. So if you have a Rolly keyboard capable of sending this expression information into Ableton, you'll be able to now use it with the wavetable, the sampler, and the arpeggiator. And I imagine as time goes on, Ableton will introduce this to other devices inside of Ableton Live. So what does that mean though? A Rolly keyboard in particular is a keyboard where you can use pressure and other like sliding across the keyboard to control the sound inside of Serum or another tool, and basically just make and express in more interesting ways than what you can do with just a simple keyboard. So we get those expressive features inside of Ableton to map, even if we don't have the Rolly keyboard. And I don't have a Rolly keyboard, so I can't show you that. But what I can do is I can go ahead and I can go to instruments, I can drag the wavetable in, and I can show you here that now you've got a matrix for routing information to control certain parameters via MPE. So we've got slide and we've got pressure. So, okay, the slide can control the amplitude and the pressure can control the pitch. Okay, so if I go ahead and I draw in a MIDI clip, here we are with the piano roll in front of us. And yes, you'll see a whole bunch of different things with the piano roll. We'll get to that soon. We'll go ahead and we'll just draw in, let's say a C3. We'll draw that. And then we'll draw that. And we've got these 3 clip views now. We've got the note and sample tab. We've got the envelopes tab. And then we've got the expression tab. So the expression tab is new. And under the expression tab down here, if I've got all of these hide or show buttons activated, you can see all of the parameters. So we can see slide, pressure, velocity, and then also release velocity. So again, coming back to the idea of the rolly, if you press a note and then you slide up to another note, that's going to do something kind of along the lines of a pitch bend. We can do, we can press the note and then we can push harder on the note or push lighter on the note, and that's going to, maybe it can control a filter, or maybe it can control pitch, or maybe it can control other parameters. In this case, I think it's going to control volume. Yep, so slide. In fact, we should have slide control pitch, I feel. And if we return that to default, and we should have pressure controlling the amplitude, because the harder you press, let's say, the louder it gets. And if I press, but then I slide, it's going to change the pitch. That's just going to make it more easy for us to understand. Right, so now if I click on the note, I actually have pitch bending built into the piano roll now. So if I just hold Alt, it's going to snap it to the grid. I can slide that up an octave, and let's listen to it. Why is it not making sound? Maybe we need some pressure because, we need some pressure. So let's draw in some pressure first, just so that we can play around with this properly. So we'll go hard, and then we'll go sort of soft, and then we'll go hard again. Great. So now you're noticing that the volume is being modulated. So it's starting at full volume, and then it's dipping down, and then it's coming back up to full volume again. And then the pitch is sliding. So starting halfway through that note, we're getting a sliding up pitch. Now that is not coming from the slide. That's just coming from like the pitch bend that's actually available just on the timeline here. So if then we go slide, and we slide, let's say from up to down, let's have a listen to, let's do it from the start actually. We'll slide that and we'll slide, oops, a daisy, I don't want to bend it. I want to make another break point. I want to pull it there. Okay, so what's happening here? You can see slide is being triggered and it's happening very quickly. So that is this envelope here. So it's just sliding down from the highest point, which is plus 48. And then this is sort of a pitch bend that's just drawn on the actual note, and that's bending upwards. We can slide it into the next note if we liked as well. And then on this one, let's say, okay, we'll do another slide using the MPE, and we'll slide, let's say, up. And now we need more pressure so that we can hear what's going on. And we'll just do the same kind of. Okay, so we're getting expressive control, modulating pitch and amplitude with these little automation lanes. Now, of course, if you were using a MIDI, a Rolly keyboard, then you don't have to draw it in like this. You'd actually just play it by pressure, using pressure. But even if you don't have an MPE instrument, you can utilize the MPE effects or the MPE, I wouldn't say effects, that's probably not the right term to use, but the MPE controls here. So you also have in here MIDI effects that have MPE control and expression control. Now, I haven't dabbled around with them, but you'll have to check out other people's videos on the explanation for those. And then also, was there some other stuff here? I think that's it for MPE. Just letting you know as well that Serum is MPE ready, let's say. You just come into the menu, you go MPE enabled, and then you can kind of right-click any parameter, and you can say the MPE Y and Z are relating to, in this case, what was it? It was the pressure and slide. So that's going to be able to be controlled as well inside a Serum if you set up a patch that has some MPE modulation. Let's take a look at the hybrid reverb device that Ableton have developed here. This is a combination of convolution with algorithm-based reverb. Convolution being the impulse response of an actual physical space, or a creative sound that you've loaded into it that can be used in a way that's not kind of regular reverb. You can apply an impulse of a sound onto, in this case, a drum loop, right? So convolution can be really creative and it can sound really, really nice. And we have a bunch of different spaces that we can pick from. So real places, chambers and large rooms, right? We've got different presets and we skip through them here. We've got attack and decay and size parameters, so we can have the sound slowly fade in with an attack. We can decay it out rapidly or let it play out for ages. We can increase the size of the reverb as well here. And we've got pre-delay with the ability to sync it to tempo if we would like, or just have it free running with milliseconds. We've got feedback, so we can feed the reverb back into itself. And then we've got the ascend option as well, so we can use this as though it's on ascend. So let's have a listen to just the convolution. So we can just blend it so that we only hear the convolution, and we can pull the dry wet down and we can actually remove the pre-delay, or we can sync it up. So let's go and so we can add attack. We can pull the decay down. Dial that in, make the bass mono, or what we could do is we could come over to the EQ and make sure that none of the lower frequencies are coming through. We can add to the stereo image and we can try different algorithms for vintage styles of reverb. Then we've got the controls for processing the reverbs. If we're using both of them together, we can process them in serial, so one after the other. So one feeds into the next and they sort of add together and then you get the result. Or the parallel where they both process independently and then they get added together in the mix. And yeah, we can blend between them, or we can just select one or the other. With the algorithm, we've got a bunch of different settings that we can use. So dark hall, quartz, tides, shimmer, prism. We can then have independent parameters that we control for modulating the sound or changing the sound. And then we've got different parameters up the top here as well. We've got delay. We've got the ability to freeze the sound. So we can make interesting sort of atmospheres if we like with freezing, or just effects. And that's really cool. So yeah, that is a rundown of the hybrid reverb. Next, we've got a bunch of new features inside of the picture modulation. And actually what you'll notice is that they've made folders now for all of the Ableton inbuilt devices. So here we've got a chorus ensemble, we've got a phaser and a flanger, we've got a spectral resonator, we've got a spectral time, and we've always had the resonator. Sorry, why did I pull that in? And I can go ahead and turn these off to start with, and we'll take a look at the chorus. Sounds pretty nice out of the box. We've got output control. We've got dry wet control. We can add warmth to the effect. Whoops, daisy. Let's go back over here. Don't want to show the modulation. Why am I doing that? I want to reset that back to 0. Here I've got width control, so I can make it wider or narrower. I've got a high pass frequency, so I can stop it from affecting the bottom. We've got the rate control. We've got the amount control, and we got some feedback. We got the same controls for the ensemble. And then we got vibrato, which deactivates dry wet in the feedback. We can offset them. Change the shape. And again, we can go ahead and high pass it. That's pretty cool. Sweet. So that's the chorus ensemble. Nice sound design possibilities, as well as just using it as, you know, a typical chorus. Here we've got the phaser and flanger. We can see visual controls. Spread, blend, rate, amount, feedback, ooh, warmth again, output again. Very similar controls, right, to the new chorus ensemble. We can sync the time, or we can have it free running. We've got a flanger here. And then we've got a doubler. Again, nice controls, nice sound design possibilities. Spectral resonator. That's what it sounds like straight out of the box when you turn it on. We can control the frequency of the, we can control the decay of the resonator. We can dampen the high frequencies or the low frequencies. We can sync this to note or just have it on hertz. So we can really get it right in key if we would like, so that it doesn't kind of sound out with the rest of our track. We can stretch, or we can compress the effect. We can pitch shift the effect, and then we can actually drop away that visual display there if we want. We can input send, we can unison, and dry wet control. We can also play with the amount of harmonics we've got coming through. Chorus, modulation rate, pitch modulation, right? Again, unison, wander, modulation rate for wander, and the granular. This one's really cool. I see a lot of sound design possibilities for this one. Let's go ahead and just loop this. We'll go ahead and we'll draw in some MIDI, draw a clip, and we're going to send some MIDI into here. So MIDI, go in, and we'll listen to MIDI from 5. Okay. So now that MIDI is being imprinted onto the sound. Cool. What else could we do here? Let's go ahead and get Serum. Chuck it on there. Pull up sound, vibrations, screecher. We don't want to hear it, but we want to send it in. So again, you've got lots and lots of sound design options with the spectral resonator. Hopefully you enjoyed me just tweaking with that and not really explaining what I'm doing. And then the spectral time. Right, so let's go resolution ultra. We can already hear a bit of a delay effect. We can have it time sunk, or we can have it free running. feedback, pitch shift it. Limiting the effect in the highs, limiting the effect in the lows. Let's go ahead and turn this all up and then freeze it. The freeze comes in, and then if I unfreeze it, the freeze fades out, right? So we've got fade in and fade out for freeze, which is pretty cool. Have that happen again. Freeze comes in, freeze goes out. So that's spectral time. Redux has been redesigned as well. Okay, so now this is what it looks like. Rate control, jitter control, adding a bit of randomness in there. We can change the bits. We can change the shape. We can filter pre or post, and we can crank the filter octave as well. And we got a dry wet. Sounds really nice. That's the new Redux. Let's take a look at the piano roll and let's see what's new. So we've got a MIDI clip open here. You can see all of this is pretty normal. It's just rearranged. Start end point for the clip. Looping control. Loop position start point, length. And then we've got the timing. We got groove. And we got scale. This is new. Select scale. Select the key. Select the mode. And now, if we press scale, that's all the notes we see. So we can basically sort of scale lock the piano roll so that we can't write in a wrong note. That's really handy and a really welcome feature as far as I'm concerned. So if we go ahead and draw all this in, down here you can see velocity, but now you can see something called probability. And here you can see randomize and you can see velocity range. So if I kind of put my cursor in the probability realm and I go randomize 100%, you can see that all of this has been modulated. And if I then click here on the velocity and I hit randomize, now all this has been randomized as well. So velocity and probability can be randomized. What is probability? Probability is the likelihood that a note that we've drawn in is going to be triggered. So if we copy that over and we go ahead and we get a synth, we'll get serum, drag and drop it on there. Oh, geez. Let's go ahead and copy that. Let's go ahead and extend. Let's extend the length of it. So So what I'm thinking right now that I could do with this probability is I could write an arpeggiated sound, something that I like for psytrance. So I could go, let's make something quickly. Let's make it a bit shorter. it's just randomly generating different patterns every time. That's not a very exciting example. I feel like I'd want to write the arpeggio where the probability that notes occur will be 100, and then I'll sort of take notes down in terms of probability and kind of remove them every now and then. I think this is a very cool feature that Ableton have introduced, and I also feel like it's about time. So over here, we've got the same sort of envelopes. Inside of here, we were looking at the slide pressure and velocity. We've covered this already. So we've got velocity, probability, and then we've got controls for the velocity range, and then the randomization and how much we want to randomize it. Really cool. And to interface with this, I feel like this part is just a little bit clunky or unclear. You have to kind of click in the field, and then that relates to the particular section. But I think with time, they'll probably refine that a little bit, and it'll just kind of come together and make a bit more sense and be a little bit more user-friendly. So that is some really exciting new stuff for the MIDI roll. Grooves and templates have now been added here so that we can have quicker access to dragging and dropping a groove in. It's got its own category, as well as templates. So we can open up a couple of the default templates that Ableton have loaded in here. It's basically just a project with set up tracks and processing ready to go. And we can make our own and save them and put them inside of there. I've got Serum here, and it's grouped. And I've got the ability to add up to 16 macros now. So let's use this. We can also make macro variations. Let's go ahead and do some stuff. So let's say 4 macros. We'll open up the Serum. We'll change these around. We'll go ahead and take the filter cut off. We'll go ahead and use a vowel. Let's go retro speaking, and we'll take the wavetable position. We'll take, let's go ahead and take the resonance. Let's put that on a band pass. And maybe let's go ahead and take the drive, right? So we can right click, map that to macro 1, map that to macro 2, 3, and 4. So now we've got the sound. We can go ahead and press random. It's randomly changing the positions of everything. And we could come in here and we could go to the macro map and we could change the min-max value for everything. We won't do this in this example. What we purely want to do is say, okay, that's a great position. Let's go new. That's the first variation. Then we randomize. Okay, we make that one as well. So here, we can go between different macro knob settings that we've found. So if I randomize some more, I can find, okay, that position sounds good. I can make a new variation. And then whenever I click that one, these macro settings come up. When I click this one, these macro settings come up, so on and so forth. So I can make variations. And that's a really cool new feature. And I can do that, of course, with as many macros I would like. I've got a work in progress project open in front of me here. And if I press tab and I come over to the session view, you can see here that I've got an average and a current CPU usage, right? And this is refreshing really quickly to show me, where we're at. And then this is showing me over, a period of time what the average sits at. That's quite handy for seeing some more advanced CPU metering, but also you'll notice on all of the individual tracks here, we also have a little meter showing CPU usage. So I would be able to identify in my song the particular tracks that are taking up a lot of processing, and I can go in there and freeze and flatten them. And this is great because now I can identify exactly which channels or which VSTs really slow me down and limit me from having, as many channels as I like or whatever else. So thank you, Ableton. This feature is very nice, and I'm sure it's very welcome to a lot of you out there. That's a wrap on Ableton Live 11. Like I mentioned, there are some other effects and sound libraries that are coming but are not put into this version that I've got yet. I also wasn't able to actually get the new changes to the follow actions working. So you will note that there are changes to the follow actions, but unfortunately I haven't been able to find how to use them. I actually can't even find follow actions at all anymore inside Ableton. So it's probably somewhere really obvious and I just can't see it. But I hope that you enjoyed that. Let me know your favorite features in the comments below. I'm curious to know what you think of this update, so fill me in. Go ahead and follow us, like us, and jump on the Discord if you want to become a member of the collective. Thanks so much, guys, for watching, and I will see you in another video. Cheers.